JC Taylor's work includes the first ever, I emphasize, another first ever private equity trading platform on the web, and the first geo-coded food delivery system. Can you beat that? These things, it makes me so proud that I'm sitting down here in Nigeria and I'm talking to JC in New York, someone that has done this kind of work. Like, I can't imagine sitting with you and having this conversation in my life. Like, I have never imagined this will happen. But I'm so excited that I'm having this conversation with you, and this is you. Like, I'm just sitting in the same room with Thomas Edison. Someone that has invented crazy, interesting stuff that at first. Now, these are two different first: private equity trading platforms and also a geo-coded food delivery system. And this food delivery system, like, it was a project that is in the seminal project now curated in the Smithsonian. I want to understand, what is the Smithsonian Institute about?
That
And
is
how
a
does it,
very
how does,
good question for your
yeah,
audience.
yeah,
This in the United States, the Smithsonian is our nation's museum of interest.
okay,
Now, this is also a funny story and one that I only heard about a few years ago. So somebody else brought this to my attention. But because of a documentary being built on this, it apparently is curated in the Smithsonian. So that's a museum. It apparently is something that this is another Steve Jobs related startup.
oh, wow.
And he asked that a magazine that was doing, I guess, some
Sorry,
art.
I want to. Was it both apps, the equity, private equity platform, and the food delivery system? Were they both created in the Smithsonian Institute, or is just geo-coded food delivery system?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, all throughout the 90s, almost every major thing that you might have done would have been a first in some way or another.
Definitely.
So I didn't invent the idea of private equity. I didn't, it's not something that I'm an expert in. I'm not a financial person. But I was the sort of founding architect and designer and CTO and that sort of thing. The food delivery, that's nothing to do with my invention. I wasn't my company. I was, one of their senior engineers to do a geo-coded related software apps that would help run the business. So, they especially the food delivery ended up being, seminal. Apparently, it is the
Please
same
explain that
as
so my audience. Yeah. Explain the seminal. Like, what does it have to do with the system?
Um, People understood at this time that there was, let's order a pizza online. This was a fantasy. In fact, there was a movie. If people want to look up on the internet, look for The Net with Sandra Bullock.
Okay.
The Net with Sandra Bullock, a famous American actress. This movie literally is the inspiration for that startup. Again, not my startup, so I'm telling someone else's story. But by all accounts, and I recall seeing the movie myself, there's a moment where Sandra Bullock goes to her computer and orders a pizza from, I think, pizza.net. The movie was sophisticated enough to show the web as an idea, which was fantastically geeky to us. But really, it was not they did a pretty good job. If you watch the little movie today, people have pulled out screenshots of their fake website. And so she goes on and she says, I want a pizza with cheese, and I'll tip the driver or whatever it is, and presses go. The audience would laugh.
Oh.
The idea that you would order a pizza online, first of all, it seemed like a waste of time, right? You could just pick up the phone and say, I would like a pizza, please. So it had a fantasy quality to it that some people related to. Generally speaking, it was laughable. The technology that we used at a company that was called Cyber Slice, just to give you an idea of how old that was. That's the kind of name that they would have given it. So Cyber Slice was go to a website and order a slice of pizza, something nobody wanted to do at the time. And we had to print out maps, right? No restaurant has a computer. If they happen to have one to do calculations or bookkeeping, it didn't connect to the internet. Okay, they don't have a web browser, right? They're a restaurant. They have telephones. So the way you would interact with CyberSlice as a restaurant is the phone would ring. And a voice would say, press 1 for this, and type in how many minutes it'll take to deliver. 35, beep, okay. By today's standards, you would find that irritating, slow. Today, we just give them a computer. Here's a tablet, stick it to the wall with some tape, it's like throwaway stuff. But at that time, these computers were still $3,500 to put a big thing on your desk, and no restaurant did that. So restaurants would receive a piece of mail, a large envelope. You would open it up and fold out a giant map. And you would mark with a pen the region that you were willing to deliver to. After that, we would receive this map back from you, probably weeks later. A data entry person would open up the map on their table and they would type in the coordinates. Geo-coordinates are like that long, you know what I mean? Each box has 2 of them. And the delivery area was potentially very large. So the number of hours that it took to translate, right? Because nobody had a pure digital solution. It was only partially digital. The website would only allow you to order things. The back office was all run with regular desktop apps. The restaurant's connection to CyberSlice was entirely through postal mail. They don't have email. So, okay, setting that up was extremely costly. The cost to acquire a new restaurant was hundreds and hundreds of dollars and took weeks of time. Simply didn't work. When we pitched this to venture capital people, well, just like our conversation, they would sit back in their chair and they'd, look, I have an invention for you. It's called the telephone. Okay. Here, I'll pick it up. Hello, could I have a pizza, please? So it was laughable if you think the App Store got laughed at. Nothing got laughed at like geo-food delivery. And, this really does bring up an important point that your audience should know. If you are an entrepreneur, if you are creating something new, you can expect people not to get behind it, right? That's what makes the Facebook movie so exciting, right? This was a time that everybody seemed to understand. Most of the time, this doesn't happen that way. Most of the time, it's private, it's modest, it's not for the world to consume as some exciting story, it's just business. So it's interesting to me that what it was a failure story of many of these early startups, right? Has become something that in fact is beyond what we imagined as much as we possibly could. But the reality of today is incredible, right? I mean, you can't buy box software anymore. Here we are having a video call between New York City and Nigeria. This is the world that we've made. So it is extraordinary, but don't expect to get your success story where you expect it. Just keep going. If you keep building things that matter, some of them will change the world, maybe.
Wow.
Here we are, not talking about all the companies that I worked with that were failures that didn't change the world, right?
What did change the world?
Very lucky to have had one or two, even where I was just an engineer for a little while.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Awesome. But that's what it was, to go and pursue the things that matter.
Yeah.
Right? That's an interesting problem. I don't know if they can solve it, but I'd like to try. And ultimately we do solve these things.